Today we're going to talk about some hacks and tips that I've learned over the years about extraction. It's a sticky fun game, but it's the fruits of our bees' labor, it's the fruits of our labor, and if I found out anything, it's, man, if I can make this an easier task, I will, because it can be a lot of work. But we've learned, as I said, a few things over the years that make it a little bit easier. I don't know, there's 10 or 11, or I kind of lost track. Every time we came across something as we were extracting, it was like, oh, that's a great one, we got to put that in. So we hope that you have the opportunity to maybe implement some of these. Obviously, everybody extracts a little bit different, and if they help you, great. Please subscribe, appreciate that so much. Hit that bell and we'll make sure you know when we have our next videos out and ready to go. So here we go, hacks and tips. Let's go. So here's a tip that took me a long time to figure out, and it was trial and error and more than one accident. You get down to the end of your bucket and you're getting low and you have to tip it forward. This has got about 40 pounds of honey in it, so it's not as easy. You have to tip it forward. Well, you know, you really don't want to do that by hand. I just use these old kitchen corks. And you can take those and put them underneath the back of it, and that tips it up a little bit. But then you got a problem in that you got to keep your bucket on the edge. And you really need it kind of over the edge so that you can bottle with it. And you're not bottling the counter. How do I solve that? Wood clamps, or just clamps. Now you got to have a tight tabletop that you can clamp to, granted. But I think you could do it with a big cutting board or something else. I take these clamps and I put them on, I pull my bucket forward, I make sure they're secure, and then I can put as many underneath as I want. And it just keeps my bucket right where I need it. Is that not great? Now, I really like this hack and tip, and I discovered it almost by accident. A lot of people do this. They're using a filling bucket with, you know, a gate on it, and then you're keeping all your honey in 5-gallon buckets, right? Then you have to transfer a 5-gallon bucket into bottling tank. So how do you do that? Well, I mean, quite simply, so you take the bucket and you pour it in, but you're always going to have a lot left in the bucket. You know, and you want to use all that, right? So you could just sit here and wait and drain, or like we used to do, somebody would hold the bucket and another person would be reaching in with a spatula and trying to get it all out. And then I discovered that the handles make a great holder, or however you want to call it. So basically, you dump your bucket, it's empty, and there are rims on the bucket. The first rim will hold it so that it drains, and you want to use it on the second rim down first, because then all the honey on the top rolls down. Then when most of it is empty, and if you're capping you can see that, then you take it and you take it one more down, and it'll hold just fine, and you get every last drop out. It's a great hack. You don't do it this way first, because you got honey that's going to come down this way, and you get yourself full of honey, your floor full of honey. And how do I know this? Yep, that's how I learned it. Okay, I love that hack. Now it's time for a bonus tip. Absolutely free. We're throwing this tip in for free because it's not a real big deal. Probably people thought about it, but if you haven't, it makes the other people that live in your household a little happier. And that is a paper plate. Paper plate, Dave, what do you do with that paper plate? Well, let me show you what I do with that paper plate. You take that paper plate and right down on the floor, directly under the spout. Because no matter how much you try, you're going to have a little bit drip on the floor. And the paper plate on the floor makes everybody happy. And here's an extracting tip. If you extract in a garage or an open space, I got these screens for this door on Amazon for, I don't know, I want to say it was a daily deal and it was like 10 bucks. And basically it keeps the bees out. Sometimes it keeps them in, but we'll get her to go back to her house. but they also make them for your garage door. We've got that door open and it looks great. Next hack. What the H? This is a great one. If you've ever extracted, you know that one of the things that's a pain in the neck is taking and getting all these frames out. We're just going to stand them right up for you. So you take this box and you put it on top, and then you want to just make sure that you got everything open on it. Then this is pretty simple. You take your hammer and you just hit on the corners, and all of your frames are right there. It just makes it so simple, and it's so much quicker than fighting it. After you take that first frame out, you're just pulling frames out. Simple hack, simple to make. What the H? Okay, so here's our next hack, bungee cord. Okay, and I've started making all my own bungee cords because I use bungee cords a lot in the winter. It's so much cheaper and you make them the length you want. That's not the hack. Here's the hack. Okay, when you are extracting, you're going to wobble and you don't want your bucket tipping over. So I take a bungee cord and I wrap it around the leg. Keep it toward the middle of the bucket, keep it wrapped around, pull it down so it will stay in place. Watch it at the beginning though, just so it doesn't flip up a little bit. And here's your bonus. Always extract with your gate open. Look at that, bonus honey. That's from the last time. Extract with it open. That's not a tip, that's a necessity. Because if you don't, you're gonna whip your honey and you're gonna get foam on the top and it's a pain in the neck. But we're gonna show you how to take the foam off the top later on. Next hack, and I'm gonna do a whole video on this, but this is a wobble stopper. Okay? So, extractor is mounted. Newton's third law said for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, the more it wobbles, the more the wobble stopper works backwards up. It's actually kind of the same exact theory as your washing machine when it gets out of balance. It just counterbalances itself and it works great. So in tips and hacks, the next one is using your capping fork. The key is you just want to be able to get underneath and pluck them off. But also recognize that the way that it's built, you can go long distances too. And you just want to slide it barely underneath. The less you dig in, the less wax you get inside of your extractor. So here's your next hack. This one's pretty simple, but pretty important. It's inevitable. When you open up your honey, you are going to have bubbles, little tiny bubbles on the top. It's inevitable, but it's easy to fix, and I'm going to show you how. All you need is some plastic wrap. That's all it takes. So I'm going to take a sheet of plastic wrap and work the magic. It also helps if you have a bowl. In fact, you probably need the bowl, and I'm going to show you why in just a second. You take off a piece of Saran Wrap. This is a cool little thing we bought, and it really works well because this is not the hack. You slide it over, you've got your Saran Wrap. Then you take your piece of Saran Wrap and very carefully make sure that you cover everything and then carefully put it down and press it very, very lightly onto the top of your honey. Okay? Very lightly. Very lightly. I think I'm making a point about doing it very, very lightly. Okay, make sure it touches the entire surface and get the edges because that's where the thickest bubbles are going to be. Press very lightly in the center. Have your bowl ready because then you pull and voila, everything goes away. Then you take your honey and you squeeze it out into the bowl. Why? Because believe it or not, the bubbles will go away. And because we sell all of our honey, that means that, yep, Dave and the beekeeper's wife, Joy, get all the leftover. So this actually becomes our honey. So then when you're done with it, you open up the trash can, throw it away, and voila, almost all the bubbles are gone. But then you ask, but Dave, why would you want to do that? Well, this is why. When you put this in your capping bucket, once you get down to that point at the gate where you fill from, you're going to get all of that bubbles into 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or a lot of your jars. It rises to the top, it just doesn't look good. And then you have to explain to people, and I actually had people bring some honey back when I had a little bit on and go, I think this is bad, I think this is moldy on top. So just to save that hassle and to make your honey look great, it's a simple solution. And then you can already see a little bit, it's starting to separate. Yum. So there you have it, I hope you learned something. It is a crazy little game that we do, this extraction thing, and I hope that you can, again, use some of those tips. And if they make your life easier, great. Again, thank you for watching, appreciate it. And on behalf of the beekeeper's wife and myself, again, appreciate it when you subscribe, and can't wait to see you next time. Take care.